On behalf of the National Entrepreneur Center and Orange County government, welcome to Main Street Profiles, a program where you'll discover the secrets of turning a good idea into a successful business. Our guests are typically entrepreneurs, here to share their stories, knowledge, and secrets, all to help you make your business dreams come true. I'm your host, Jerry Ross, and thanks for joining us. On today's show, we'll learn about business incubators and how they can help guide you in your success. We'll be talking with the Associate Vice President of Research and Commercialization at University of Central Florida, Dr. Tom O'Neal. So let's get started. Hi, Dr. O'Neal. Thank you for joining us today on Main Street Profiles.
Thanks for having me, Jerry.
I appreciate you taking the time out to join us. Well, today, what we'd like to do is have a conversation about what incubators are and how they work, learn a little bit about the incubators, then talk a little bit about you, but save some time for the end to talk about some of the lessons that you've learned along the way. Are you up for that?
Sounds like fun.
Oh, great. Well, let's start off with talking about incubators. What are they and how do they work?
Well, an incubator is I'll start off with an incubator is a process, not a place. That's what I like people to think about. It's a place, though, where you bring companies together that are at a certain stage of their development. They're a real company now. They're not just an idea. Someone's committed to making it work. And you put them in a program for about a year to 3 years. The goal is to make them successful, help them grow. Teach them all the things they don't know. You know, there's always a fatal flaw in their thinking or their business plan, which you try to vet out. You do a little triage function like you would in a hospital. And you put them on a plan to make them healthy, robust, and successful. It works. The term incubator is an interesting thing. The original one was up in New York, and their first client was a chicken farmer. So
really?
It had a little bit to do with the analogy, if you will.
I was going to say the incubation term comes from farming.
Yeah, but it's not for chickens anymore, as they say, right? But so how do you help companies grow? And it's really become more of a science than just an art anymore. So people are really trying to figure out what small companies need to become big companies, to make them successful, to diversify economies, and to create wealth for the U.S.
So it kind of rounds out their thinking in that they may know a lot about their particular business, but need some of that triage and help on some of the other areas.
Well, they usually know a lot about their thing. They want to sell their product, their service. They don't know a lot about the business part. It's usually never their thing. They probably have the best thing ever, right? But they don't know if anybody wants. They don't actually know if anybody wants to buy it besides them. You know, they don't know how to sell it. They don't know how to get to the people to do the buying. They don't know how to advertise and market and where the customers are. Those are the kind of things that we help them with.
So they may have a great idea, a great product, or a great service, but not know how to get that out to market and make it profitable so that they can stay in business.
That's right. Suntan lotion sells better in Florida than it does in Alaska, right? So in the winter. So knowing where their customers are is one of the big things you help them with.
Well, how did incubation get started here in Central Florida?
Well, it's kind of crazy. I used to work for the place called CREO, the Center for Research and Education in Optics and Lasers. And I had started 3 companies in CREO, and every time I'd start a company in CREO based on the optical communication or whatever they're doing, someone would call the 1-800-SQUEAL number and say, O'Neal's over there starting a company, someone should throw him in jail. So I said, you know, this isn't really fun, and I think I'm doing a good thing here. So I decided it would be much easier to have a place where people could really change hats and there wasn't any confusion about when I'd be working for my day job or what I'm trying to do with this good thing of spinning out technology companies. So we started the incubator to do that, and kind of quickly realized there was more going on in Central Florida than just what we're doing at CREO or at the university. So we opened it up for the whole community, and it became a partnership for everybody. You know, there's all the counties and cities that contribute to this thing. We all do it in partnerships with the high-tech corridor, and we've grown quite large. You know, when I started, I thought if I got to 30 companies, it'd be the best thing ever. We're at 150 companies right now, Jerry.
Goodness.
So yeah.
Now, is that how UCF got involved?
Yes.
Is because you were part of the faculty at UCF?
Well, I wasn't part of the faculty then. I was a business manager. I'm an engineer that has an MBA that's in an entrepreneur. So anytime an engineer gets around business, they're the person they want to just stop doing engineering and go run a company. So it really started because we started 3 successful companies out there based on technology developed. What I really believed in was getting technology out of the laboratory into the market where someone could take advantage of it. You know, I use the pawn shop model. It doesn't do a lot of good to create great technology and put it on a shelf and hope someone shows up to do something with it. So I wanted to be more proactive and get it commercialized.
So what does a company have to do to qualify or become an incubator company?
Well, they have to be serious, you know, especially with a faculty member. And by that, it just can't be a hobby. You know, a lot of
Right.
people,
They're
a hobby
not
is
playing business.
They're not playing business. It's time to be serious. So one of the things that requires at least one full-time person working for the company. So if it's faculty, usually they'll have to hire somebody or take a sabbatical or do it over the summer to start it. So they'll do that. We make them go through a course called Excellence in Entrepreneurship. It lasts over 4 weeks, 2 nights a week for 3 hours. And they go through that, and then they can apply. And it's kind of a pre-incubator course. And I call it that because the best thing we do sometimes is convince someone they don't need to start a company. Only about 60 or 70% of the companies that sign up for that program actually decide they want to start a company after they go through it.
But even that seems to be a help to say to someone, we've kind of looked at your idea and what it is you're looking at, and maybe that's time to go back and rethink it or look at developing a product that would appeal to a larger market, right?
Well, I think some of the biggest thank yous I've ever got for people who decided not to start their company.
That was really not a good idea.
Well, they said, well, you probably saved my marriage, you saved my bank account, you saved me putting the second mortgage on the house, or for something that probably was not going to make it, you know.
Right.
So.
And so that incubate excellence in entrepreneurship is a screen, a challenge, but it's also them having an opportunity to vet their idea.
And it's a screen for us and them. What we look for in that course is if they're really coachable. I mean, not everybody wants to take advice or knows how to take advice. So
Right.
we look for coachable companies because there's no fun incubating someone that doesn't want to be incubated. They're really just looking for that place I talked about and not the process. It's much better for us to find that out ahead of time.
So it's not a real estate deal.
It's not a real estate transaction. You know, again, if you want a place next to the university or in Winter Springs or one of the other 8 locations we have, that's fine. We'll help you find a place next to us. But the incubation is you need someone serious that wants to build a scalable company that's going to grow and create jobs.
And so is there a national association or is it strictly a UCF
Well, there's a Florida
model?
Association and a national model. There's a National Business Incubator Association, and we have 800 members, if I remember correctly, right now across the U.S. That probably represents more than half of all the incubators in the country. And we have a Florida Business Incubator Industry Association, which I'm president, and we have about 20 people. So.
And so you're involved not only here locally, but on the state level and nationally too.
Yes, I serve on the board, and I'm the incoming chair for the national organization.
And so what does a company need to do to be considered for inclusion in the incubator program, and how do they get more information?
Well, give us a call, and you can sign up for that course I talked about online, Excellence in Entrepreneurship. The website is just incubator.ucf.edu. It's fairly easy to get to. There's an application. You can sign up for the course, and come take the course. And then after that, you put your application in, and we'll make a decision.
We hear a lot about angel investment and venture capital. Mm-hmm. Is that available in Central Florida, and do entrepreneurs that are in the business incubator have access to that?
Well, I'd say it's not plentiful here, but it is available. In the last year, we created a new thing called the Florida Angel Nexus here in Orlando, and it's a group of accredited investors, and they're investing in opportunities across Central Florida and expanding across the state. In their first year, I'm happy to say they made 4 investments for over $1 million. So
wow.
There is some.
So it is alive and well, living in Central Florida.
You know, I can't wait till it's $100 million, but $1 million first year is good. The venture capital community is forgotten in Florida for the most part, you know, but they're coming now back down. Our numbers are up. Venture capital in general is down from where we used to be. The California and New York and Boston dominate that whole scene, if you will. But Florida's rising to the top of the second tier, if you will, and we're getting better at it. You know, what we really need to do is make sure we create more companies, and money goes to companies, I think, more than geography. So.
Is that something that one drives the other, where, you know, the investment will drive the businesses, but then the businesses will help drive the investment?
That's right. And in Florida, we have some wealthy individuals that can invest in companies, but they've been investing in other things for a very long time. So getting to invest in technology companies where it's a different environment, you know, you can lose all your money in these things.
That's right.
And typically in a venture capital deal, they look to make all their money on 2 or 3 investments out of 10. That's a different way of thinking for people that invested and never really had to lose a lot of money before.
But it would be a good thing for someone who had invested something like Facebook or Google when they were startups.
The multipliers are huge in this kind of business when you do hit a big home run. That you got to have a nice few singles here. I say
Right.
typically in 10 deals you'll make a lot of money on 2. You'll maybe break even or so on 4 or 5, and then you'll lose everything you put in a couple, 3 others. So
Right, and that's part of the risk.
Part of the risk.
How does someone become a part of the incubator?
Well, they can fill out the application online, if you will. Just sign up for that Excellence in Entrepreneurship course. Go through the course, take it seriously, use that time to vet your idea, to make sure, do a little soul searching, make sure you really want to do this.
Right.
And then apply to the incubator and then pull the trigger and make your commitment.
And so where do they go online to do that?
www.incubator.ucf.edu.
Well, I see that we're coming up on a break here, but when we come back from the break, I'd like to change gears and talk a little bit about you. So it's time for a short break, and when we return, we'll discover Dr. O'Neal's personal success story. We'll be right back with more from Dr. Tom O'Neal on Main Street Profiles. Welcome back. You're watching Main Street Profiles, where you'll discover the secrets of turning a good idea into a successful business. I'm your host, Jerry Ross, and we've been talking with Dr. Tom O'Neal and learning about the University of Central Florida's Business Incubation Program. Now it's time to hear a little bit about Dr. O'Neal's personal story. So, Dr. O'Neal, let's shift gears here a little bit and talk a little bit about you and your background.
Okay.
Kids growing up sometimes dream about being a policeman, fireman, maybe even an astronaut. Did you ever dream that you would be the Associate Vice President for Research and Commercialization?
It was even harder to say back then, the whole title, right? Certainly, I wouldn't even know how to go get training for that. Didn't know what it is, didn't know what it would be.
What did you dream about being?
Of being something, I guess. I always felt, in one sense, before I knew how to spell entrepreneur, that I'd be entrepreneurial. My mother and my father and my grandfather all had their own businesses. They all ran them. I never contemplated going to work for somebody.
So you always dreamed of, this is what I'll do for a living.
I mowed yards. I really, literally had the lemonade stand. I did all this stuff. Did you really? So I started a company relatively early. When I say that, I quit high school to start my first company. So
you quit high school?
Quit high school.
Okay.
Went to school at night school, and started a company when I was a teenager, doing what my father and grandfather had done before them. I put it this way: I was the original pimp my ride person, right? I had
well, you're going to have to explain that one.
Well, I did auto upholstery for what they had hot rods back then. So I customized cars and made them really cool, with fancy interiors and sunroofs and convertibles and all that kind of stuff like that. So I made things for people.
Okay.
I did it for someone else. I did it for my dad. Of course, my dad had me working in it from the time I was old enough to crawl in the cars, right? So I did that for a while, and then when I was 25, I didn't go to college until I was 25 years old, and went into the College of Business, but being non-traditional, ended up going into engineering because I liked math and science better.
And so you started in business, but you went to school in engineering.
Yes, but still did the upholstery work, got me through college. I could still work weekends. I worked summers. I kept that going, and there was a way to make money. It was actually a very rewarding career in the sense that every day I got to go out and do something and see the results of my work.
Right.
Which is
you would get closure on that.
I'd get closure. The people would pick up their cars and they'd pay me money and they would give me a smile. So it was great.
It was very quick reward.
That's right.
In school, did you like school?
I did like school. I was very athletic in school, so I did all the sports.
So you played sports?
Played sports, football, track, physical fitness, all those different kind of things. And I was also, believe it or not, on the National Honor Society. So
well, I would believe that.
Yeah,
I would believe that.
The coaches would not allow my other teammates on the football team to know I had any academic credentials. I was afraid they'd get beat up.
So that would hurt your football cred.
It would hurt my football credibility back then. So we kept that a secret.
That's a good thing on the football team.
That's right.
And so what position did you play in football?
I was a running back.
Okay.
And a receiver. So I was very fast. So
right.
So I could do that. I grew up fast, I think physically and mentally in one sense. I was bigger than most people and I was faster than most people. So football was a no-brainer for my coach to get me to do.
So where did you grow up?
Tampa, Florida. I was born in Tampa General Hospital, right there on the water. So I ended up being a water person because of it, I think. So.
And so, are you still a water person?
Well, it's my biggest addiction right now. Like I said, I have 9 boats.
You have 9 boats.
9 boats, and if I don't get enough, I rent big ones and go sail on them sometime as well. So.
In fact, I think you're planning a vacation on a boat, aren't you?
That's right. Just rented a big catamaran for a week in Belize, so I'm heading down there for my birthday in July.
So let's go back to school. You went to college at UCF?
I went to college at USF in Tampa for my electrical engineering degree, and I've gotten 3 degrees at UCF, which is again a Master's of Science in Engineering Management, a MBA, and a PhD in Industrial Engineering.
Tell me about industrial engineering.
Well, it was fun. You know, I do like engineering in the sense that there's more concrete answers. You know, one of the things about the College of Business is that I had to learn it depends is a legitimate answer. You know, which is
there may not be just a right or a wrong answer.
It'll drive an engineer crazy kind of answer a question. It depends. You know, but I went engineering, and I was able to work on my passion is, again, entrepreneurship. Believe it or not, I ended up going there and figuring out how to incubate companies better. I did my PhD on best practice in incubation. So I scoured the whole country and university-based incubators and figured out how to do the best, what works the most and what doesn't work. So it was a good lesson.
And so is that during the time you were at the Creole lab?
I had already switched over to what was the director of sponsored research at the time. So I started my PhD after I left Creole.
When you were doing that, was that to keep you out of trouble with the university and starting those businesses, or was that a passion that you wanted to follow?
I liked school. It was something I did for me, I would say, you know, and I was able to do it in an area that I had passion about, learn more about it. You know, even when I did the upholstery work, I wanted to be the best in the world. So I took whatever training and learned how to do everything I could do as good or better than anybody else. Same with the incubation stuff. I want to be a world-renowned incubator specialist. So I went back to college and did that. I figured out how to make myself the best I could be and then apply my trade, if you will. So it's kind of an inbred thinking process.
And so let's go back to the first job. Was that the upholstery business? And then tell me a little bit about doing that for your father and then doing that on your own. Yeah,
well, I did it for my father. He taught me the trade. And my grandfather did it in Tampa back in the World War II. He actually made cloth aircraft wings for the airplanes back then. You got a picture of him in the history of Tampa. It's kind of cool. He taught me that, and actually I ended up specializing in vinyl tops and convertible tops. I developed a process, if you will, to where I could do a vinyl top in an hour. And the factory would pay me 8 hours to do it, so I was happy.
So you were developing new processes. That was your engineering roots getting started.
I did. I developed special tools and tooling to do it really fast, and made it very profitable. So I interjected technology, if you will, into that trade.
Well, we're going to take a short break, and when we return, we'll discuss how Dr. O'Neal's lessons learned will help you on your journey to success. So stay tuned, and we'll be right back. Welcome back to Main Street Profiles, where you'll discover the secrets of turning a good idea into a successful business. I'm Jerry Ross, and today we're talking with Dr. Tom O'Neal, the Associate Vice President of Research and Commercialization at the University of Central Florida. Dr. O'Neal, we've talked a little bit about the incubators and your background, but I wanted to have a little time here at the end to talk with our viewers about some of the lessons learned from your experience along the way. So we had talked about your own business, your entrepreneurial experience. What were some of the lessons learned from that experience in your journey?
Well, I think just do good things for people. And, you know, most things work out for themselves, right? Even in the upholstery business, as long as I did a good job, I got paid, everybody was happy. The minute I tried to cut a corner or do something that was just for money,
so quality
nobody
matters.
was happy. Quality matters in anything you do. Try to do the best you can. But the other thing is just do it sometimes. I see a lot of people sit on the sidelines when they have a dream and they just don't go out and make it happen. You know, I don't know if it was my age and immaturity that gave me no fear when I was young. But
the fact that you didn't know what you didn't know.
Didn't know what I didn't know. But, you know, you learn how to do things better, and everything you do helps you in the long run. When I got my first job as an engineer, I used to make spy-proof computers for the government under this program. And what made me really stand out was my upholstery skills because I had to make things. I had to go back in the machine shop and make cannons, held things there. They had to be fitted, and I just go up there and use the tools and whip these things out and cover up circuit boards instead of seats, right? But all of a sudden, like, wow, this guy's good.
He knows how to make it.
He knows how to make things, and he makes things happen. I took over a project that was stuck in Washington, D.C. for 2 months, and I finished it in 2 weeks, And so, just because I knew how to make things. And you have to just do things. You got to educate yourself. But everything helps you get better, and you reach in and learn your skills. And if you could do something you like, it's really much funner than doing something you don't like.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I told you I have a twin brother, and we both went into companies in his early years doing upholstery work. He ended up doing the same thing I did and went back to college and got his degree. And he run the lab over the Cancer Center, Moffitt Cancer Research Center in Tampa. And he quit that job and went back to the upholstery business about 5 years ago. He said, making more money, I'm happier every single day.
Well, and there's the satisfaction of sometimes working with your hands or working in your own business, that it's not always all about the money.
It's not all about the money. It's actually staying in touch with your customers. I think most of our entrepreneurs, they do create wonderful gadgets in the laboratory, the widget of the century that is the best mousetrap ever, but then all of a sudden there's no mouse to catch, So, so how do you really get them to understand the business aspects? At one point, instead of working, in their business, they have to start working on their business, and it's a subtle but definite transition, because it's a company you're trying to build now. It's not really the best product. How do you make payroll every Friday night? Keep the cash flow going. How do you finance this stuff? All these things that are not necessarily the fun part, especially for someone who's just built a new semiconductor laser. They just want to see the light shine, right? Well, now they got to shine the light and make money at the same time.
And now you've got to find a way to sell that to someone, because if you don't sell something, if you don't make money, you can't stay in business.
That's right. And you can't do good for people.
Right.
If you're not around to help them with their new laser, their new auto upholstery or whatever, you're not helping anybody.
What would you say is maybe the biggest challenges that an entrepreneur would face today, whether they're already in business or whether they're thinking about starting a business?
It's kind of the same ever. It's money. People run out of money. As I stole this line from the guy at MIT that runs their entrepreneurship center. Cash flow is more important than your mother, right? So it kind of shocks you. But
well, I don't know about that. Well, but I would have to agree in business. Yes.
You need to remember that. Most people run out of money.
Right.
Because they just don't plan ahead. Things cost more than you think. They take longer to get their product to market. All these little contingencies you have to build in and be able to accommodate. And then if you're financing yourself, when you run out of gas, right, to do this stuff. So it's money. It's usually money.
Is that one of the? You see thousands of businesses that come through the incubator and UCF. Is that one of? Are there trends? Is lack of capital the biggest trend? What are the trends that you see coming up?
Well, there's actually more ideas than I think I've ever seen in my life. I don't know if you know about it. Again, the applications coming to the incubator are at an all-time high. We're getting like 100 applicants a year now for the program. So I think there's lots of ideas competing for lots of customers. With the customer base growing, the biggest trend is I think people realize that entrepreneurship is where wealth comes from, so they want to do it. That they're not taking a longer-term viewpoint. I think they're trying to get rich in 2 months. That's
right. That's not going to happen
very often.
It's not going to
happen very often, right? The WhatsApp and the Facebook and these people that become billionaires in a year or two are really not the norm. So you got to be in it for a longer view. I think typically it takes 10 years to become an overnight success. I find in this business, and a lot of good companies start taking off about 5 to 10 years.
Would you say that this is a good time to be an entrepreneur, or is this a scary time to
I haven't found a bad time yet. Actually, most of the best companies in the U.S. have started in the worst times, during depressions and during recessions. So as we're coming out of this prolonged recession or whatever we're in, there's a lot of opportunity. And you notice, if you look at the stock market, everything is doing well. The whole economy opening up to the worldwide market, and all these emerging markets, they need a lot of stuff too. They're actually emerging, and they want customers. They want things to buy.
What would you say to someone who's viewing today that's considering starting a new business?
Well, like I keep telling everybody, laser tattoo removal is going to be big at some point. figure out how to do that, right?
So that's the secret tip for today's viewers is.
Well, you look. I mean, see the future, right? It's a trend right now, and it won't be a trend tomorrow. Maybe, who knows?
Right.
There's also the demographics. There's a lot of people in Florida that are getting older. People are living longer. So there's a market there. Look at these big trends, where the big market's going to explode, and go tackle it.
And so what would you say to entrepreneurs in general as words of wisdom from your years of experience?
Well, it's a lifestyle, I think. It's not as risky as you think. A lot of people do it. I've seen many people become very successful where they never have to work again and they go right back in and work again. Because it's what you want to do. It's a lifestyle. I've been lucky. I worked for a university, but I've been able to be entrepreneurial there. I started an incubator. I started a venture lab. I started a Grow FL program to help second stage companies, all while I'm working at the university. And so
where you have a full-time job.
Where I have a full-time job. But you can do things. If you really see a need, just fill the need and do it for the right reasons. And there's several people put this several ways, but the whole point is if you do something meaningful, you'll probably be rewarded for it. And if you do something just to make money, you probably won't make money and you won't be rewarded for it, right? So, but do something meaningful and fill a need that people have, solve that problem, kill that pain that people feel, and you'll be rewarded for it usually.
Well, you certainly have a lot going on, and I understand how busy you are. So I'm truly appreciative of the time that you've given us to come down here and share your experience on Main Street Profiles.
My pleasure.
And once again, I'd like to thank Orange County Government and the National Entrepreneur Center for their ongoing support of our small business community, which includes the show. And finally, I want to thank you for what you do each and every day to make our community a great place to live, work, and play. And so until next time, I'm Jerry Ross, and I will see you on Main Street.